Hi, and welcome back to Growth with Ciara. I am so happy that you're here with me today. And today's conversation is something that I know will resonate with so many of you, especially if you're in a season of transition. My guest today is Eiryn Hernandez, a lifestyle content creator, a published author, and a woman committed to living a faith-centered and purpose-driven life. Eiryn, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I feel so honored to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited for this conversation. In this conversation, we're going to talk about faith, redirection, trust in yourself, and surrendering to the higher plan.
I love that. All the things that we all need to hear and be reminded of quite often in this life.
Describe to me what this season in your life feels like, is like. How's everything right now?
Yeah, if I had to give this season a name, I would say I am in a very empowered season of my life. I feel very bold. I feel like I'm stepping into a very bold era. A lot of people that have known me for a long time maybe may have seen me as bold before or as empowered before because, I'm outgoing, I try new things, I put myself out there. But to be completely honest, I feel like in the past, although I have done all those things, internally I've always battled self-doubt. Yeah. I've never really put myself out there 100% because I've always been kind of like giving so much importance to what people say about me, how I'm being perceived. Like I never want to be too much in this room or too much in that room because I don't want to take all the attention or whatever. I would always overthink these things. But I have come into a space now in my life where I'm like, I don't care. I don't care how I'm being perceived. Like I know myself, I know my heart. I know what I'm being called to do, and yeah, I'm just owning it fully, and I'm just showing up. And I think some people are starting to notice, and they're like, "Whoa, we thought you were this before, but now this is feeling and looking a little bit different." And I'm like, "Yeah," because in the past, maybe I was like faking it till I made it, and I never actually. Now I made it. Now I'm actually bold and feeling very empowered.
I love that, and I think watching your content, especially the way you express yourself, which is through the way you dress and movement and all of the very thoughtful posts that you have across social media. I think that the confidence that you have embodied now is very evident and also is allowing you to try different things without thinking about what anybody else is going to say. And it's so inspiring for those watching you and also for people that are multi-passionate like you are, that you can love many different things at the same time and it be still a authentic representation of who you are.
Yeah. I love that you said that because that was actually a big insecurity of mine in my 20s and even in my early 30s where people call me scattered and if you focus on one thing, you reach farther. And I'm like, I wish I could do that, but I can't dedicate myself to one thing. I start resenting that one thing that I am because I have tried it. I have when I ran a wellness business, I tried just being focused on growing the personal training business and the fitness business. And I ended up hating it. Yeah. Because I'm there's so much more to my life than just training people and writing programs. I also like to talk about life. I also like to, wear cute clothes, not just wear gym clothes all the time. I don't want to post about my workouts. There's so much more to it. So I was very insecure about having so many passions and pursuing so many passions. But then I've been exposed to so many other people that are,
multi-passionate.
And they're embracing it. And that inspired me. So now that I'm doing that for others, it's just it's so full circle. And it's wow, that's so cool.
I love that. And I think it's important. And we've spoken about this a couple of times in the podcast about surrounding yourself with the right people that help you feel, quote unquote, normal for the gifts or the interests that you have, because maybe your inner circle doesn't have that same level of interest or doesn't identify with all of your passions. But it's so important to be around people that help you feel welcome, I guess is the best way to say it, or that your tastes or your passions or all of the different interests that you have are beautiful.
Yeah.
Not something, not scattered brain, not disorganized, or not someone who's unsure of what they want. We can love many things at the same time. And I think that sometimes people want to put themselves in a box and then they want to put you in a box.
Right.
You know, and I think expressing yourself in all the different ways that you do is, again, so inspiring for so many people. And I love now in the age that we're in, there's so many people saying that out loud, that they have all these interests, myself included. I love finance. I love finance. I love my career. I love what I do on the corporate level, but I also love to serve, and I love to have beautiful conversations with beautiful human beings. And I think it's important to honor both sides of, or all sides of who you are.
Yeah.
And feel, and I think that allows you to be your most authentic self.
Yes. And look at you doing all the things. Podcast host.
Thank you.
But I love that you said that too, because I used to think that there were people that were like multifaceted and people that weren't. But I have actually come to learn that everyone is. It's just some people allow themselves to be and like fully expressed in all of these different areas and accepting of that. And then there are people who just kind of like refuse to, or like are too afraid to do so.
Allowance is such a powerful word, because I think that, like you said, most of us, and especially if we all think back at our childhood and that childlike wonder, all of us wanted to be a million different things. But that side of us becomes dormant the older and older we are. That could be because of our circumstances. That could just be that we're afraid, afraid to try something new. And so many of us don't live out our passion. And I hope that if you're watching this, one thing you take away from my podcast and this episode is to pursue your passions. Pursue them, even if it means coloring. We like to color.
Yes.
Even if it means that you like to color and you're a grown-up and you like to sit down and color a book. Like, I think that we've lost that way of honoring ourselves. And I love these type of conversations to highlight all of the things that make us unique, and that we don't have to conform.
Right.
And we don't have to be what anyone else wants us to be. We need to be who we want to be.
Right.
And I love that. I love that conversation.
I think also part of that is remembering that not everything that you're passionate about needs to be monetized.
That's a great.
Yeah, because I think like in the society that we live in, we're like, oh, I'm going to pursue, like, for example, the thing that we just mentioned, coloring. It's like, you don't have to make this a business. You know, you don't have to do anything with it except just express yourself by way of something that maybe makes you feel great or like brings you joy. Like, and like sometimes I think we think about these things like, oh, that's a waste of time if I'm not being productive, if it's not going to turn into something that's gonna like get me farther along in life, then we end up like tossing it to the side or not paying attention to it. But like, no, this is part of that life that you're trying to create. This little coloring thing that brings you joy needs to be part of that.
Absolutely. And like you said, I think we also, this narrative about productivity and it having to be tied to money. Productivity is also finding joy in little things. Because if you are finding more joy in your life and taking the time to do those things that center you, ground you, whatever they may be, it will make you more productive.
Right.
It will make you happier. It will allow you to show up in the world as a better version of yourself. So I think that is a great point. And every hobby is not a business.
Right.
And when you start a business, you have to make sure that it's not only something that you love and would do for free, because that's very important, but also that you understand what it takes to not only start, but grow a business. And I think that not enough people take the time to educate themselves on the operational side of running a successful business. And they just focus on, this is a great idea and I love to do it and I know it's going to pay me so much money.
That was me. And that's why I no longer have that business, by the way. So
because it's tough. Any business, no matter where you start or what the passion is and what industry it is, it's a lot of groundwork. It's a lot of heads down, investing of time, of money, no validation for quite a long time. So if you're thinking that you're going to do something and get rich quick, or you're going to be famous overnight, I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, that's not the way the world works. And that's certainly not going to pay your rent every month.
Right.
So I think it's important to have hobbies that just make us happy just because.
Yeah,
Just because.
absolutely. I'm all about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about trust and surrender and faith and all of the things. I know you are a firm believer in God and His purpose in your life. Last year, you experienced loss in your job, in your corporate career that you were very happy with, I would say, at the time. And it created this redirection that maybe you weren't expecting. But one of the things that I admire most about you and that in this moment of your life is that you could have chosen that as a moment to shrink down. And it became an invitation for you to expand. Tell me how you found not only your faith as an anchor, but trust in yourself to become more of who you were meant to be.
Yeah, I love this. There's a lot to unpack here. So the loss of my job that I was so happy at, and it was my answered prayer. I had been praying for a full-time job where I felt like I was making good money, where I was learning things and I was being supported for a while. And when I got it, I was like, oh my God, like it took so long, but like it happened. Like, thank you, God. This is my answered prayer. And then losing the job so quickly, I think it was like a year and 3 months after, it humbled me.
Yeah.
It humbled me very quickly. And I was reminded that maybe in a way I was starting to identify and I was starting to feel that my security came from this job instead of like where it was before, which was in God, like, you know. So I was like, wow, maybe in a way. And of course, this is now 5 months later. You know, at the time I was devastated. I was sad. And I was like, God, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, is this an attack from the devil?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, no, that was God. Because I was relying on the job. I was feeling secure in the job. And God was like, wait a minute, like, what happened? You were placing all your faith and all of your security in me, and now you redirected that to a job, right? That can very quickly go away, which
it did. Of course.
So yeah, there were a lot of lessons in that. But in all, I went back to the thing that I've always gone back to, which is my faith, you know. And I'm like, I know that this just means that better is coming, more aligned is coming, more money, more like a bigger company. I don't know, whatever the next is, because I don't know yet. I know it's just gonna be better because that's just the way God works. Like, God don't play about me. Okay,
Amen.
God don't play about me.
Amen.
So yeah, I just went back to my foundations. And also there are some pivots that you plan for, like the pivot back into corporate was something that I planned.
Right.
And I like I mentioned earlier, I prayed about for many, many years. But then there's some pivots that you don't plan for, like the one where I lost the job. And it's like, okay, is this the worst thing that has ever happened in my life? Like, no, I'm going to be fine. You know, like, Eiryn, just, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that the pivot that you mentioned, especially the ones that we don't plan, are always for our highest good, even if we do not understand it. And if you've ever experienced pivots that you planned or didn't plan in your life, you know that you're always going to make it on the other side. Right. You're always going to be okay.
Yeah.
So the trust and the surrendering and knowing that I've gone through worse before, or I've gone through a massive change before, and I'm fine. I'm still standing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay. Trusting yourself to know that you have everything within you to be okay.
Yep.
And that everything that is happening for you.
Yep.
Even if you don't understand it, you just got to ride the wave. I think that the way that we show up after something so unexpected is a true test of our character.
Yeah.
And a true test of integrity. And I think, like you said, it's a way to say, what am I really prioritizing here? Is my identity fully in my career? Is it in who I am as let's say for myself as a mother? Is it who I am in as a corporate executive? Like, that can never be my whole identity because those things are outside of me.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important when life teaches us those really humbling lessons to really look for the blessing in the lesson.
Yeah.
Right? There's
Yeah.
always a silver lining
Absolutely.
in the darkest storms. And I'm so glad that you have such a strong foundation and that you're able to understand that it all is going to be fine, that you're going to be okay, and that, like you said, God don't play about you.
He don't play about you either, girl. I've seen the way he blesses you. So.
I mean, he don't play about me either. He don't play about me. But I do credit that, when people say God don't play about me or I'm God's favorite, it's a relationship that you create with God or universe or whatever you want to call it, where you show up it fully for the relationship. And for this podcast, honestly, was divine guidance. I had no idea that this was going to come to be, but I'm being obedient, and this is the way that I'm being called to serve. So we'll see where it goes. But I've learned to listen to the whisper.
Yes.
So that it doesn't become a boulder coming down at me. Yeah. You have to listen to the whisper. Oh, I love that, Eiryn. I love that.
Yes. One more thing I would say in terms of like when you're going through these unexpected changes, what has helped me, and this is why I'm such like an advocate for journaling, because if you look back at all of your journal entries and the things that you have gone through before, you will see that, yes, it was so painful at the time. And then you go past a couple entries and you're like, wait, I found my joy again. I found the blessing again. Yes. Look at how that thing worked out. Look at how the problem was solved, was resolved. The situation was resolved. Yeah. So it's like it's kind of like a keeping track of all of the things. Because as humans, we're going to forget. We're going to forget that we literally experienced this same feeling of loss maybe a couple years ago, and like we were just fine, right? Yes. But it's like we're in the moment, emotions are high, we're like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm never gonna find another job like this, which were thoughts that were coming to my mind.
Which is like, normal. That's human. Right. That's a human reaction.
And then I was like, wait a minute. I literally had no experience in this field, and I got this high level role. So if that happened, of course, now that I do have the experience, more doors will open.
Of course.
And so journaling, guys.
Journaling. And speaking of journals, you have a wonderful journal. Eiryn has are they 2 journals or 2 books? I would say they're journals, both of them, with a little bit of information and inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I call it books because it's just easier to.
Yeah, I love them. I've had both of them. Rooted is the one right there on that beautiful shelf.
That's which is
her new baby. And I think that journaling is such a beautiful way to honor whatever process that we're in. One of my favorite journaling techniques, and I spoke about this in the morning routine video, is writing down a daily moment of joy. And that for me started when I was going through like the worst of the worst. And I kept thinking like, everything's just going bad. Like everything's bad. Of course, my kids are healthy and, all of the things. But I just needed to put pen to paper and realize that something good happened today. And I love your journals because they have all these beautiful prompts. And you also educate in Rooted about many different topics, which I think is also a beautiful way to teach without lecturing. And I think it's great. So Eiryn has these beautiful products. Yes, we will share all links, because give them to yourself or gift them to someone that you know would benefit from starting or reincorporating a journal practice.
Yes.
Awesome. Tell me about how your relationship with God, how it has shaped your decisions.
Okay, in order to answer this, I feel like I have to walk you through like the journey in general. So I've been a lifelong believer, like I grew up with my grandma who instilled these values in me. So I would say like at the beginning, my relationship with God was very much like father, and like in Spanish, we call it Papa Dios, like it's kind of like, like I think in English it's like Father God sounds kind of serious, but in Spanish Papa Dios is kind of like, oh, that's my dad, I saw him as a dad figure, so much so that I actually was telling my therapist a couple months ago, I was like, oh, I actually don't feel like, I grew up without a dad. I was like, I actually never felt the absence of my dad, because I truly like saw God as my dad, you know, like the way I prayed, you know, having like that childlike thing.
Yeah, of course.
And then it evolved, you know, in my teens, maybe my 20s, to more of like a fear-based relationship. Like all of my decisions and things were like, because I was very fearful of like going to hell or like disappointing God.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, just very like, I gotta get this perfect, you know.
Yeah.
But now, funny enough, like in my mid-30s, I am actually going back to that father-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
But not in like a childish way, but more of like understanding that he's protecting me,
Mm-hmm.
understanding that he's there for me, understanding that obedience is important, not just because he's telling us to do something and he gets a kick out of us being obedient, but because it is, when we are obedient, it is for the greater purpose of our lives.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
for full alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And one that has been resonating a lot lately is like, I am the daughter of the Most High God. Like, there's nothing impossible for him. Therefore, there's nothing out of reach for me.
Yes.
So when it comes to decision making, I think about the space where I'm in right now and the relationship that I have with him right now. And I'm like, of course, I'm going to run all my decisions through him. And even if I end up making the wrong decision, I know he's going to make it right.
Amen.
There's nothing that's final or like, that's it. Things are bad. Like, they're never going to get, you know, you're never going to do good again. It's like, no, he'll make the path straight again.
Yeah.
So.
I was having this conversation with my mom this morning, and I was talking to her about, you know, the podcast and everything that comes with starting a new venture. And I said to her, my number one business partner is God.
Yes.
Before I do any episode, before I ask anyone to have a conversation with me, I tune in and I make sure that it feels aligned and it feels like the right move. And I think when you are so anchored in your faith, you can feel it with conviction.
Yes.
You can feel the yes and you can feel the no. And I think with maturity, you understand to not ignore the no.
Yeah.
Listen to it. And you lean into it, right? Because it is a father figure that is trying to give you the best.
Right.
You know, trying to help you become your best. So I love that answer.
Yeah.
So Eiryn, as a published author, talk to me about the moments where you struggle with creative blocks.
That actually happens way more often than I like to admit. But I have learned not to bully myself into creativity, because creativity really requires safety. And when we're bullying ourselves into creating and like trying to box ourselves, it's just gonna backfire. It just doesn't work that way. So how I move through these creative blocks is, what's one thing that helps me feel safe inside is movement. Usually that's my thing.
Yeah.
So whether that be going on a walk or, you know, getting my strength workout in, or a run, or just doing things that bring me joy, like, you know, dilly-dallying on a sunny day.
On a sunny
with a coffee shop or something. Yeah. That usually does it for me. And I also live in New York City, so it's like just going out and being inspired and seeing all these other creatives do their thing helps me move through some of those things. And just like giving myself time, because we're not always meant to be like creating and doing. And it's like, you can't force it.
You really can't. And I think that's a beautiful lesson, whether you're creative or not, and you just feel stuck. Like whether you're working on a project at work and you just feel like you can't get it right, taking a moment to pause and breathe and do something joyful, even if it means just listening to your favorite song for 2 minutes or shaking it out, whatever it is, I think is a great tool to have in your wellness toolbox, right? Because we all face moments of like a roadblock, mentally or physically exhausted, and you just have to complete something and don't feel inspired. But like you mentioned, there's inspiration everywhere if we just take the time to look. So I love that
I'm
answer.
inspired by you right now.
Oh, thank
This
you.
is great.
I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by all of my friends who are creatives. I mean, bless your hearts. This stuff is not easy. I am so grateful to have all of you to lean on for questions or anything of the sort. But this is creativity is requires a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And how do you take care of yourself? Because as someone who, because of right now the business that you're in, you're constantly having to create. What are some of the self-care rituals that you've had to implement in order to like, hold up a second, I can't just be creating all the time.
Yeah.
What is working for you right now?
To be honest, I never feel like that sense of burnout when it comes to like the creativity in terms of like social media and stuff, because I try to batch create when I'm feeling the highs and inspired. I'm like,
That's
oh,
great.
I want to
Yeah.
create multiple things. Sometimes I end up posting all the things on the same day, and I'm like, Eiryn, you should have spaced this out. But I'm like, I'm just so giddy and so excited about my work. I'm like, I'm
love
gonna post
that.
it. I love it so much. But I think it's just keeping a balance between like creating for myself and like what brings me joy, and creating for work, because sometimes I have partnership.
Right.
But keeping that nice balance, and also the balance between consuming and creating.
Yes.
So especially when it comes to social media, I'm super, super strict in terms of the amount of time that I spent scrolling or tapping away, because then I end up feeling so exhausted that I can't create myself.
Yeah, that
So-
makes sense. And I always love to see and hear when people talk about social media pauses, because I think so many people don't realize that we waste so much time
Oh, yeah.
and so much energy watching someone else's life.
Right.
And our life is literally passing us by.
Yep.
So having great time management skills with, restricting, not only for your mental health, because also
Yeah.
seeing all this information at once is overwhelming for all of us. But also understanding that in order for you to create, you got to stop.
Yeah.
You got to pause. You got to reset. And I think that all of us, whether you're creative or not, there has to come a moment where you allow yourself to just stop.
Yeah. And creativity doesn't just live on this thing, on this platform, on this algorithm, on this app. Creativity is all around us. Like inspiration is all around us. So it actually does me more good to like put those stuff away and like you mentioned, live my life. Go out with my friends, go to brunch, like go on a walk without my phone or whatever. Then I end up feeling recharged and inspired. And I'm like, oh, now I have the energy to create. Now I have ideas to do.
Yeah, you got to fill your cup. You got to fill your cup, because all of this is this creating content, inspiring other people. You're pouring energy out. So you have to make sure that your energy, your cup is full.
Right.
So that you can give to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So Eiryn, what does growth mean to you in this season of your life?
Growth right now for me looks like showing up in my most bold era. Empowered, owning all of my gifts, owning all of who I am. It also means being obedient, in terms of like spirituality, just being obedient, getting in my word, getting deeper into God. I know that itself. I want to grow spiritually, like more than ever before. That's what it looks like for me right now.
I love that. I love that answer. And I want to acknowledge you for sharing all of the beautiful sides of you on social media with us. As your friend, I know your heart, and I know that everything you do it with care and with love and with inspiration. And I hope you know that you're inspiring many people, whether it's through curating beautiful outfits or, moving your body, taking care of yourself intentionally, which is so important.
Yeah.
The way you're showing up in the world matters. And I hope you know that. And I'm so proud of you. And I can't wait to see you grow even more in any more passions that will one day bloom, right?
Yes.
All of the passions that will bloom. And I'm grateful, and thank you.
I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you listened to the call. I'm so grateful that you're starting this. I know it's going to help so many people. Funny enough, guys, when Ciara told me she was starting a podcast, I'm like, duh. Like, I bet none of your friends were shocked that when you were starting a podcast. Because it's like, of course you are. Like, this makes sense.
Thank you.
It's just an extension of the things that you already do, the person you already are.
Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you. I received that, and all of my friends are not shocked.
Yeah.
I love this. I love to do this, and I'm grateful that I had the courage to answer the call, as you said, and I cannot wait to see how we grow. Right? I can't wait to see where this podcast goes, and I want to thank you for joining me today, and let's continue to grow together.